Good morning. Today we're going to discuss the introduction to percentage concepts, and I want to first start with what is a percent. A percent is defined as parts per 100. Basically, it means a number over 100. It uses a special symbol, and that's this percent symbol here. It is written, for example, as 40%, and 40% means 40 parts per 100. Here's a visual representation of 40%. I have 100 squares here, and of the 100, 40 are blue. So 40 out of 100 is what this means for 40%. Now, what I'm going to task you with today is taking percentages, converting them to decimals, fractions, and ratios, and vice versa. So, for example, let's use the 40%. If you're given 40%, to write that as a decimal, that would be equivalent to 0.40. The fraction would be 40 hundredths. And when you write your simplified ratio or your simplified fraction, you're going to reduce by 20, and that will give you 2 over 5. So your ratio would be 2 over 5. Your fraction would be 2 over 5. Now, there's two general rules that I'd like you to remember when you're converting percentages back and forth to different equivalent number formats. If you have a decimal, fraction, or ratio and need to make a percent, just multiply by 100 and add the percent sign because you don't have the 100 there already. So times it by 100. Now, when converting from a percent, you have to get rid of the 100. So the way that you do that is the opposite. You divide by 100. So when you have a percent and you need to make a decimal, a fraction, or ratio, just drop the percent sign and divide by 100. That's the math behind it. So if you can remember those two rules, it will really help you with your conversions. So if I have 23 hundredths as my decimal and I need to make it a percent, remember the rule is to multiply by 100. So change your decimal by multiplying by 100. And when I do that, I'm going to get 23. Then don't forget to add your percent sign to make sure people know that this is a percent. It's parts of 100. Now there's a shortcut with decimals that you can use. Anytime you're multiplying, because there's 2 zeros here in the number 100, it's a power of 10, I can just basically move my decimal 2 places to the right to get the percentage. So the rule is the same. You just take this decimal, move it 2 places to the right, and that gives me the whole number 23. And don't forget to add your percent sign because people need to know that it's a percent. Now, if I have a percent and I need to make it a decimal, I want to drop the percent sign, then I want to change it by dividing by 100. So if I have 65%, I want to drop that percent sign and divide by 100. That would give me 0.65. I could also use a shortcut here. When you're dividing by 100, remember 100 has 2 zeros in it for the power of 10. You just take your decimal and go 2 places to the left because you're dividing. 1, 2. And that gives you 0.65. Now, when converting fractions to percent, the rule is the same. I have to take that fraction and I have to multiply it by 100 to make it a percent. So I'm just going to use cancellation in this case. I know that 4 and 100 can both be reduced by 4. So when I divide by 4, I get 4 is equal to 1. When I divide by 4, I get 100 divided by 4 is 25. Then I'm going to multiply 3 times 25, I get 75, and 1 times 1 gives me 1, which basically is the whole number 75. And since I'm making a percent, I need to always remember to put my percent sign. So everyone knows it's 75 out of 100 or 75%. Here I have 45% and I want to make it a fraction. So when you are given a percentage and you need to make it a different format number, you need to divide by 100. So get rid of the percent sign, divide it by 100. Since this looks like a fraction, I can go ahead and just cancel in this case because I want my last number to look like a fraction. So I know 5 will go into both 45 and 100. So I'm going to use cancellation. 5 goes into 100 20 times. 5 goes into 45 9 times. So my fraction is 9/20. Now when we're converting a ratio to a percent, we have to multiply by 100. I'm going to go ahead and use cancellation here as well. I would get 2 going into 2 and 2 going into 100. In this case, 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 100 50 times. 7 times 50 is 350. Now I know I'd have 1 on the bottom, but I need to write this as 350, and don't forget the percent sign. And it's okay to have something over 100%. We get charged over 100% on a lot of items. All right, let's start where we began, 40%. To convert 40% to a ratio, you're going to drop the percent sign, you're going to put it over 100, and then you can use cancellation because we want a ratio when we finish this. So that means a comparison of 2 or more numbers. So when we divide each of these by 20, I can cancel out. 100 divided by 20 gives me 5. 40 divided by 20 gives me 2. My ratio is 2 to 5. So in summary, a percent is defined as parts per 100. Uses a special symbol right here to convert a decimal, fraction, or ratio to a percent. Just multiply by 100. To convert a percent to a decimal, fraction, or ratio, just divide by 100. Now I have a couple of practice problems I'd like you to work out, and I will show you the answers in just a second. What I'd like you to do is convert some percentages, convert some ratios to percents, and decimals to percents, and fractions to percents. And then I have a couple of word problems. So go ahead and pause the video, do the problems, and then click play and check your answers. Once you've finished your answers and check them, I'd like you to go and do your study guide. Let me know if you have any questions.